Hello and welcome to the Super Basement Bro Show. My name is Connor and I'm joined by my co-hosts Tanner and Hasten
Hello.
Hello, the first
over
all
Zoom.
digital.
Back.
Yeah.
Welcome
All right.
back.
This is it's been a while. We haven't done an episode for quite a few months now, but we're back. We're on Zoom. We're doing it a little differently. Apologies in advance if our audio is a little off here and there. I know my mic doesn't sound as good as Tanner and Hasten's right now. I was having some mic issues, so just to put that out there beforehand. But we got a lot to talk about, guys.
Yeah, lots happened in the past 7 months.
Where we've been gone.
Is this a delayed 7 months news kind of thing?
Yeah, I don't know. I
So
guess
what happened 7 months ago?
Yeah, we
well,
can
there's
kinda
been
talk
more
about
COVID.
whatever. Been more COVID. New president. A lot's happened.
President.
It's February 19th as of recording this, just so the audience knows. Yesterday, there was the first Nintendo Direct in
If you want to
500 and something days. It's been like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while. It was kind of disappointing. Should we share? Let's share the screen and we'll start from the beginning.
When was the last time Nintendo had something?
The last mainline Direct like this was September 2019. So it's been a long, long time. They've been doing like indie showcases and like the Smash Directs and stuff like that, but there hasn't been a mainline one in a very long time.
Wasn't that the one where they did Luigi's Mansion?
Yeah, Luigi's
I
Mansion.
think that was like the last. That was like the last one.
Which is crazy. It's been that long. Yeah, Terry Bogard was in that Direct, so it's been a long time for Smash Fighters too. But yeah, right off the bat, we got Mythra and Pyra from Xenoblade Chronicles 2 coming to Smash Bros. As part of the Fighter Pass 2. As you guys know,
Anticlimactic.
I'm a huge Smash Bros. Fan.
Right.
And these two wouldn't have been my personal pick. I'm not a big Xenoblade person. And once again, it's more anime swordsman. So not my favorite pick, but I know there's fans out there that are probably super excited. And these guys were highly rumored for even just the base Ultimate roster. So I'm not too surprised about it.
I think this Fighter Pass has been really disappointing in my opinion. I know we got Steve from Minecraft earlier this year or last year, but so far, I mean, I haven't had a compelling reason to get this one. That's kind of been ultra disappointing. I guess we still have 2 more slots, so
yeah, still 2 more slots, and for me, it's one of those things where I love content for Smash Bros. Whatever it is, even if it's a fighter I don't personally care about. I would say so far I've much preferred Fighter Pass 1 over 2, but Steve was a great pick. I love Sephiroth, but Min and Pyra and Mythra so far are kind of on the lower end for me in terms of hype.
Yeah, I think that. Sorry, what were you going to say?
If you had to pick one character, who were you hoping it was going to be yesterday?
My expectations were all over the place for yesterday's character because we knew we were going to get a Smash character, but I was thinking it could have been Crash because
a lot of people
is coming to Switch in just like a couple weeks, and so that would have been a pick that would kind of make sense. But as we've learned over the years, no pick has ever made sense.
Everybody, yeah.
For like the time, usually it's because people always try to come up with like these theories in their head of like, oh, Crash comes out on Switch in 2 weeks, so of course the next fighter is going to be Crash. It literally has like never worked that way. Like,
I will say it is weird though, because sometimes there are
coincidences.
Like sure. Even Sephiroth, like Final Fantasy 14 had just released, right?
It had been announced at the same
announced, yeah.
Or it was at the Game Awards, yeah.
And I think that's why, like,
I think it's like 16 though.
Because if I'm honest, my assumption was something from Zelda, Breath of the Wild, because as we were talking about, it's Zelda's 35th anniversary this year, and so I was thinking, they're gonna.
I thought they were
character, something like that.
Yeah, there's times where they line up that way, but I feel like they're almost more coincidental.
Yeah.
But yeah, because like with Mythra and Pyra right now, it's not like there's a new Xenoblade coming out anytime soon. Like,
didn't they announce the remaster of Xenoblade 2 though?
There's a remaster of Xenoblade 1 that came out last year.
Because it was announced at their last Direct. Because that was like their big last thing.
And then it came out May last year though already.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as we know, I don't think there's any new Xenoblade games coming out or anything
Yeah.
like that. I'm sure they're making one, like a third or something, but yeah, it's whatever. I'm excited for it because I just love new fighters, but wouldn't have been my personal pick. To answer your question, Hasten, who I want in these final 2 picks, obviously I want Leon from Resident Evil. He's been on my list forever. I don't think he'll get in just because I think it's probably too mature of a pick for Nintendo. But I mean, Snake's in a rated M game, so
I mean, if we're talking wish list, there's so many. But like realistic ones, I don't even know. I don't know who I was expecting.
Yeah, realistically, yeah, like I would want Leon. I think Master Chief would be amazing. Final 2 picks, if I could pick, it would be Leon and Master Chief. But I don't think it'll be either of those 2.
I could realistically see Master Chief or Doom Guy, from Doom.
I can't believe they haven't done either one of those yet. I mean, the internet's been like wanting them so badly.
I really hope we get a third fighter pass, and there might be more hope then.
I think since it's Nintendo and they're Japanese based, the thing is they were risking it with Banjo anyway. But at least Banjo-Kazooie was on a Nintendo console. Master Chief is almost unknown to the Asian market. You look at Xbox struggles to even sell 1,000 Xboxes there. So how many of them actually know Master Chief? So
yeah, it's one of those things where it would definitely be a throwing a bone to Western audiences for Master Chief. It's similar to Banjo-Kazooie, like you said, but I don't know. I think it would be awesome if they did do it though, especially because there's 6 fighters in this pass alone.
Is Mythra a copy of Pyra?
Yeah, so it's like they work like Zelda and Sheik used to back in like Melee and Brawl, where
you like down B,
and then you can switch to the other. It's kind of interesting that they're doing that for this because they changed that. Like they made Zelda and Sheik their own separate fighters for Ultimate and Wii U, and same with like Samus and Zero Suit Samus. So it's a little interesting that they're now bringing that back. It's kind of cool. But
I think we talked about it on the last Smash cast we had on this podcast, where they they don't use they made this whole Echo Fighter thing and they don't use it.
Yeah, it's weird because
this would have been the perfect
Echo.
Yeah, like they had the perfect opportunity.
In this case, fine with it being a just her down B, but it is interesting because they're counting them as separate fighters. Like I think on the website, it's like.
I think the way Nintendo looks at it is they're worried about people worrying that, that pack's worth more money. It comes with an Echo also. They want to keep it exactly equal.
Yeah.
Nintendo needs to lighten up on DLC a little bit. I think that they should take more risks with it.
That would be cool. Yeah, for sure. Oh, this was the next
one. We had Breath of the Wild 2, and then did you guys want to share? I didn't get to watch it live, so I didn't get to hear the feeling of this.
Out of the entire Direct, this was the most disappointing moment.
Absolutely.
Because me and Tanner, literally, how do you pronounce his name? It's Eiji Onanuma, the head of the Zelda franchise, comes out, and we immediately
freaking out,
jump out of our seat. We're freaking out. We're like, oh my gosh, they're doing it. Breath of the Wild 2. And then he's just like, hi. You were probably expecting to hear about Breath of the Wild 2 when you saw me. Unfortunately, we don't have news for it. Yeah,
like, dude,
Skyward Sword.
Why'd you even come out? They're worse than Bethesda with hyping their games up.
Yeah, it was really disappointing. Skyward Sword, though, was the first Zelda game I ever beat. It was the first Zelda game I ever actually really played all the way through.
And owned by yourself.
Yeah, I asked for it for Christmas back in 2011. It's one of my favorite Zelda games. I love Skyward Sword. I have a soft spot for it. But I know there's a lot of people that do not like it. There's a lot of people that think it's like the worst 3D Zelda.
That's kind of what I've heard.
Yeah.
Which is weird. It's just weird that they're remaking it because, like, why wouldn't they make one of the older ones that are 3D?
Yeah, because that's the thing is Skyward Sword is only 10 years old.
Granted, me and Connor talked about this a little bit. I think there's an explanation for that because since it is Zelda's 35th anniversary, we imagine they'll do what Mario did and do a 3-pack where it's the 2-3 old Zelda games remastered 3D ones like Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, and whatever other one.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I have a feeling they're holding out for a Zelda specific direct like they did with Mario last year. Me and Taryn were talking about it, and we're thinking maybe around E3 time. They do a whole Zelda 35th anniversary kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they do a Majora's Mask, Ocarina, and Wind Waker pack or something like that. I don't know.
Mhm.
Kind of two different kind of so like their main E3 one and then another one for
I
Zelda.
think that's something we assumed they'd do. Since it is the 35th anniversary, I doubt they'll pass that up. I mean, they did it with Mario, you know.
I want your guys' thoughts on this. What do you think this means for Breath of the Wild 2? Do you guys think it's coming out this year, or do you think it's next year at this point?
Next year.
Next
I think
year.
it'll be
I do too.
maybe. I honestly think it'll be late next year, but I'm hoping summer. You know.
Yeah, I'm holding out for spring. I'm really holding out for that spring 2022, especially if the rumors of a Switch Pro are true, because I could see that coming out spring next year and launching.
Maybe it launching with Zelda. Yeah, it's just such a big world. Like, how do you redo that? But the thing is like with Zelda, they already created the world, right? They just need to add things into it. So maybe it wouldn't take as long.
That's what I'm thinking. I think there's a slight possibility that it still could come out this fall, and that they're just waiting to reveal it alongside all the other Zelda info, like if they do a Zelda-specific direct.
Yeah.
But at this point, I'm thinking next year.
You said it would come. Let's see. You said never. Did you just say later in 2020? So
he said that
They'll
they
reveal
plan-
more
yeah,
later this year. Yeah.
They plan to talk about it. Yeah.
could be literally by E3 or like February or
I mean,
like December.
That's
I
the thing,
imagine
too,
that's
is-
what their E3 event will be, because they always theme their E3s around one of the games. They did Luigi's Mansion, you know, Breath of the Wild. I imagine it'll be Zelda, Breath of the Wild
Yeah.
2.
Well, the thing if they even go to E3, like with a little digital E3 this year, but
Is that confirmed, by the way, being digitally?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
confirmed.
Okay.
Sadly,
I thought they had said that they were strongly like thinking of doing it, but they haven't confirmed it yet.
I mean, it's heavily rumored at this point that it's all digital, and I can't imagine it being in person.
Especially if it's held in California.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, is Nintendo has done this in the past where they will you don't know what the release date is. Especially last year, they did this a ton. They won't reveal what the release date is for something, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's coming out in 5 months, 4 months.
Yeah.
that's kind of nice that they've been doing that though, because
Yeah.
you don't get like super hyped about something and then wait 4 years.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So for all we know, during E3 time, they could
Bethesda.
do a Zelda Direct. They could do a Zelda Direct and be like, Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out in November, and that'd be awesome. That'd be super cool.
Could
I
do
will
it.
admit, I think that I actually prefer that sort of marketing where they'll announce games earlier, because that's why I don't mind that Bethesda did that. Oh, you don't like that?
It depends on the game.
Well, because like Bethesda, I think it still gets me knowing that they're working on it, because it would suck they haven't said anything. Like, it would suck for them we don't even know that it's coming out, and we're like, what the frick are they doing next? Like, that would suck to not know at least what they're working on.
See, I kind of like that though, because we got Starfield, right? And we know Elder Scrolls is coming out after Starfield.
Mhm.
So it's like, just do Starfield. And then
we know
Elder Scrolls is coming out later.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's basically what they said, but it still sucks, like, waiting for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and just to clear up some things from this Direct, a bunch of absent games like Breath of the Wild 2, Metroid Prime 4, games that we've had confirmed for years at this point.
No mention.
No mention of that. I mean, we had mention of Breath of the Wild 2, but
Yeah.
obviously they said more is to come later this year.
When we said how
But-
it's surprising, because when they announced Breath of the Wild 2, they had a whole cutscene.
Yeah,
they
I mean,
had-
they had that trailer was like legit. It was a
It was
full-on
what, a
cutscene.
2-minute trailer?
Yeah, and it was dope.
Yeah.
It was so dope. You could tell, and the models were different for Zelda
Yeah.
and Link slightly. Like, you could tell that they've been working on it. So,
When you
a
mentioned
little sad
you
not to
mentioned
see it
that,
more.
like, when they announced Metroid Prime 4, which was 5 years ago at this point, right?
yeah,
4
it
or
was like
5 years ago.
They announced it, and they
They
said,
didn't-
like, we are coming out with this. Did
Well,
they have
but
a
they
trailer
didn't.
for that?
They didn't
Well,
have anything. All they had was a
It
logo,
was literally a logo.
Oh.
Yeah.
which that's better than Zelda.
Hasten to compare it to you, it was literally the Elder Scrolls 6
Elder
trailer,
Scrolls trailer.
for
Oh, okay.
Metroid Prime. They did the exact same.
Exactly. Yeah. For sure.
And to be fair, with Metroid Prime 4, we know they restarted development a couple years ago.
yeah, so
like
they have the excuse, of
They had to restart? Did they lose a director or something?
no
they
the
changed, developers, right?
They had the rumor was that Namco Bandai, or Bandai Namco, was developing it, and Nintendo wasn't liking the way it was turning out, and
Thank
so they
goodness.
essentially like canceled the project and then rehired Retro Studios, who
made the old ones,
original Prime games.
Which thank goodness.
Yeah, and rehired them to make Prime 4, which I think is probably a smart move.
Well, because
Bandai Namco hasn't made anything good in a long time.
Well, they made Metroid Other M, right?
No, that was Team Ninja.
Okay. But Retro's they've had a good track record. Didn't they make
Donkey Kong
Ninja
Tropical
Gaiden?
Freeze?
Oh, okay, yeah.
No, Retro's last game was Tropical Freeze, and then Donkey Kong.
So they've got a good track record then.
Yeah, they're great. And the thing is, though, is Bandai Namco, to be fair, they actually help development on Smash Bros. So they're really good at like supplementing their studios to teams. But with who were we just talking about? Oh, Retro hasn't had a game in literally 7-8 years now, because Tropical Freeze was like 2014.
Yeah.
So the big question is, like, what were they working on up until the point that they got rehired for Prime 4?
For sure. Yeah.
Like, where's that game?
Have they just been slacking?
It's they were clearly working on something. The rumor was that they were working on that Star Fox racing game. Do you guys remember that?
I have noticed something.
I don't remember that.
But the rumor is that got canceled in favor of them working on Prime 4 or something.
That's something Nintendo does keep under wraps a lot. They don't like talking about canceled projects, because that's why it seems like companies may seem like they don't do much, because at least in the other world of gaming, we know things will get announced and then they'll get canceled, and it's pretty common knowledge. But with Nintendo, they're pretty secretive about that kind of stuff. So who knows? Retro could have been working on something awesome, and then it just got scrapped.
It's really too bad that I wish and it's still possible at this point, honestly, we don't know, but I wish they would finish that game, like split their studio in two kind of thing, finish that game, get it out like next year, and then have Prime 4 come out later,
Mm-hmm.
We'll see though. Anyway.
My favorite part of the direct was these freaking Joy-Cons.
Yeah.
Like, these will be my Joy-Cons, even if I have to pay $100 on eBay.
They're awesome.
They went on sale today, and apparently they're like selling out everywhere.
They're freaking sold out. I tried to go to Best Buy, and they're gone already. So.
See, this is something that Nintendo does not like doing. They don't make very many options for the Switch and Joy-Cons. Like,
there's different colors, but they could do a lot like this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just make it so much cooler than what they do.
I mean, how long has the Switch been out now? It's been a while. It came out in
4 years, 2017.
2017? I don't know. It just seems insane because, like, there's not many options. Like, you look at Xbox controllers, there's like a million versions,
Xbox came out, like, 3 months ago, and they've already got 4 different kinds of controllers.
Yeah.
For different colors.
It's funny. I saw someone mentioning, though, it's kind of funny that I think for the Series X controller, they've done, like, red, blue, and one of the only colors they haven't done is green.
Even though that's like I bet green's their next one, but
then the big announcement. This was the biggest announcement of the night for sure.
Splatoon 3. I've literally never played a Splatoon, so
I hadn't played them until last year, and I will say Splatoon is awesome. Like, I played Splatoon 1 on the Wii U, and then I got it for super cheap, and then it made me want to get Splatoon 2, and I got that, and it's super fun. It's like it's the closest thing to a Nintendo shooter. Like, it's a multiplayer shooter, it's like team deathmatch, but in the Nintendo way, and it's actually super fun, because if you take that Call of Duty team deathmatch kind of style gameplay, or like game mode, but with Nintendo gameplay, it's actually really fun. It makes for an interesting game.
You mentioned, though, it is weird, because it seems like the type of game that would be free to play.
Well, even more so than that, the weirder thing to me is that Splatoon 2 came out only in 2017. Like, that was only 3-4 years ago at this point. It hasn't been that long. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, though, Splatoon 2 and the Splatoon series is kind of like similar-esque to a games of service for Nintendo, in the sense that they do like events for this game all the time. Like, not as much anymore. I get that it's slowed down, but like they were still updating that game for a long time. It's just kind of weird. It's one of those things where it's like, I wonder why they didn't go kind of more the Smash Bros direction with it, where it's like one entry per console, and then wait for Splatoon 3 for the next Nintendo console. You know what I mean?
Right. That is true. That is kind of strange.
I mean, it's cool. It's cool for Splatoon diehard fans. I mean, I'm sure I'll get it at some point,
Yeah.
but it seems kind of soon, especially because Splatoon 2 is still selling really well. I don't know if you guys know this, but like Splatoon 2 is in Nintendo's like top 10 selling games now, which is
Really?
like they've made it a huge IP. But
Yeah.
it seems weird to kind of undercut their sells with a third entry
Yeah.
already.
It's insane how good Nintendo is at creating new IPs. It just shocks me.
Yeah.
It's like Splatoon is like one of the, as big of an IP as it is for them, it's one of their smaller ones, realistically. Like, it's crazy.
Well, and that's and that's the insane thing is like Nintendo's so good at just making these mascots and IPs, and they put them in Smash Bros.
Use them in everything.
And then people realize like, oh frick, like this, I know this character now. I want to get the game. Like, Smash is such a good marketing tool.
And it's strange because Nintendo is one of the only companies that will make mascots instead of IPs, where they can use their mascots in any game and it'll sell. Like Mario Golf. If Nintendo came out and they're like, oh, golf,
just
people
golf,
wouldn't buy it. But if they came out and said Mario Golf, oh, people, it's gonna sell. Yeah. They could make Mario on anything.
It's just like how they can even put like a Mario event in Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
You know, and like that's a big deal because it's Mario.
Yeah. I think Microsoft and Sony can learn from that and make their mascots in other things. I mean, the
PlayStation does it a bit, but yeah.
The Battle Royale game they made, or what was it? Yeah, All Stars.
PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale.
That was they should have kept going with that. You know, they started that train, even if it didn't work out so well. You know, like keep that going. People like
Sony has a lot of characters that they could use.
They could, yeah, absolutely.
And now Mario Golf Super Rush. This is the first Mario Golf game on a Nintendo console, from what I heard, since the GameCube. So it's been a long time. But
the Wii didn't have one.
No,
I guess Mario Golf. Like,
yeah, golf specifically, yeah, like a Mario Golf, yeah. They've had ones on like the 3DS and stuff, but none on the console.
And like a golf specific game instead of like mini games in all other games, right?
Yeah. What did you guys think of this game? Like, did it do anything for you guys?
It's like Mario Tennis.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy it for $60.
No,
that's for sure.
Definitely not.
This feels like the kind of game that they should have made free to play with. Their online service, like their online service that they're charging. Like I know it's super cheap, but why not make this game free and add some like microtransactions into it?
Yeah, if this was any other company and not Nintendo, it would 100% be like a free to play style game. But
even if it's $20, but Nintendo will go full price with it. They'll be like, hey, you know.
Full price, and it's not included in any of the sales.
I can't believe this. Quick
no
side
DLC
note.
also.
Skyward Sword, by the way, a 10-year-old up-res game is being sold for $60 on the Switch right now, which is insane. That's crazy. And then on top of that, Miitopia, which came out in the 3DS a long time ago. Remember how we were talking about like this better be like free or like cheap. Guess how much it is, Tanner?
$60.
$50.
That's a
$50, and that game was a 3DS game from like forever ago.
Hey, you know what? It's gonna sell. So who cares?
It will. That's the thing. Nintendo doesn't. They know they can get people to buy it. That's why they do it.
I don't know though. Like Assassin's Creed came out on the Switch for cheap, right? $20.
That's Assassin's Creed. That's not Nintendo.
Their IPs though. Like
they need to learn like
IPs.
I'm sorry, I would buy these games. Like, I would want to buy Skyward Sword. Like, Skyward Sword, I remember watching you play it. I would buy it if it wasn't full price.
Well, that's the thing is, like, I would love to replay Skyward Sword, but I am definitely not going to pay $60 for it when it's only 10 years old. Like, it's different if, like, the Mario 3-pack they did was worth it, especially even though those were just, like, the exact same game. They weren't even remastered or anything really. That was worth it because it's been longer for those games. Like it's been 20 years, 25 years, you know. It's like Skyward Sword's only 10 years old. If I really wanted to, I'll freaking pull out my Wii and plug in my Wii.
Yeah.
You know.
And if it's anything like the Switch port of like the Marios, it's literally the same game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
well, and that's the thing is it says it's, you know, HD. That's what's so insane to think about is that the Wii wasn't HD yet.
It wasn't, yeah.
Was it 720p at least, or was it literally like 480?
I just know the 360 and PS3 were HD at that point, but the Wii still wasn't. And so the selling point for this Skyward Sword is that it's in HD, and it's not like it looks that much better.
it didn't hurt Nintendo.
No.
They know how to be successful. That's one thing is they never put their games on sale, but it works for them. You know.
Well, the Wii still sold gangbusters. You know, the Wii's one of the highest selling consoles of all time. It didn't even matter. It wasn't even in HD.
Nuts.
Yeah.
Project Triangle? Don't even know what that is. Honestly.
Too long of a trailer. That's all I'll say.
This is a sequel to Octopath Traveler, which came out a few years ago. Not really my type of game. It looks awesome. Like I'll say, like the visual style of it looks really appealing, but it's not really my type of game personally.
Star Wars Hunters. We didn't get anything about that. It was a teaser.
26-second. Holy cow!
This is actually kind of a cool one because it's essentially, from what we know, it's coming only to Switch. Maybe is the rumor.
Free to play.
And so
and free to play. That's
based online multiplayer. I like all of that. That's all great right there.
So that could be something kind
2021.
Cool.
Yeah, by Zynga.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
That's
see.
Pretty cool. Oh, and it's between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool. Ooh,
cool. Fall Guys.
That's a good one. I actually, that's.
But here's the problem with this one: summer 2021. What ridiculous. The heck? Like this game has already died off majorly.
Yeah.
And now they're waiting. It's going to be a full year that this game's going to come out on the Switch and Xbox.
Xbox, yeah, that got announced. That's what I was going to say.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, it did.
It's coming to Xbox
summer as well.
Is it coming to Game Pass?
Almost a full year after the original release.
I actually might buy it on Switch because I think it would be a game that we could all play together.
Yeah.
Fall Guys, I will say, is incredibly fun. Like I love Fall Guys, but man, this is just almost like too little, too late. Like a year later.
Fall Guys is a weird situation where they had so much hype they didn't build off of it, you know? Yeah. Like they did the opposite of what Fortnite did. Fortnite got popular and they're like, we're keeping this train going as long as we can. Fall Guys was kind of like,
it's crazy. They're on their 4th season already.
Yeah,
they've done big updates and stuff. It's just
the thing is it costs money.
Yeah.
But the reason Among Us, Fortnite, these games were so big, even Warzone, they're free.
That's what's crazy though, is Among Us cost $5 on the Switch.
That's stupid.
Yeah, it's weird. But and the thing is too.
I mean,
it's
only free on mobile. Like and it's Xbox. Not free anywhere else.
Well, what made
Xbox? It's on Game Pass.
Have a huge launch too, though, is that it was free on PlayStation Plus if you had PS Plus at the time, which was a big move by PlayStation. That was. Really
I think it's huge to be cross-platform, like multiple platforms. It has to be multi-platform and free like that. It was only PlayStation and PC, and that limits the player base so much. You know, there's so many people that don't even own a console. You know, they're strictly mobile or even just Nintendo.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that was. I'm excited for that. Very excited, but way too late of a release date.
I agree.
That should have been an announcement that was like, and it's available today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should have. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity expansion pass announced.
We didn't get any news on it though. It was just announcing that it's in
2 waves of content. So
yeah.
It is a very fun game. Like if you guys get a chance to rent it or something, or if you can get it for super cheap, I would recommend getting it and give it a shot.
If it was ever on sale, I'd get it.
I plan to get Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity at some point, but probably when it's like $30-$40 on a Black Friday or something like that.
Ninja Gaiden, never really played it. You guys?
No. Oh yes, actually, these are the 3 that were like I've played on the 360. They're actually on Game Pass. I think a couple of them. They're really fun. I actually like them. But, I've only played like an hour or 2 of each of them. But
we pointed this out though. It does seem like Nintendo had no content, and people were looking forward to Direct so much that they just jam-packed every little thing. Because there's one coming up that is insane. It's so stupid that it's what got announced. You know, and it was the Hades
physical release of Hades.
Ridiculous. Yeah. Like they announced, oh, we're coming out with it physically. It's like that's a Twitter announcement.
Is Hades already on there?
Yeah, it's already on Switch.
No.
Yeah, they literally just announced that they're doing a physical release of it, which that's the kind of announcement that shouldn't be in a Nintendo Direct, in my opinion. That should be just a
It
Twitter
does seem like
announcement.
they had to jam pack as much as they could into the direct, so it seemed meatier than it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super Mario items will be added to Animal Crossing. None of us play Animal Crossing.
It's cool though.
It's
I
cool,
like that Animal
yeah.
Crossing is getting these updates like that. You know, it is games of service at this point. You know, they're getting
Yeah.
fall, Christmas, Halloween updates.
I think Animal Crossing is a good example for Nintendo of. I think they're starting to learn like how to maybe do more of a games of service style game.
Absolutely.
And I think Animal Crossing is doing really well in that sense.
3DS title Miitopia. Also never played that on the Switch.
$50.
I did play it. It was fun on the Switch, but it's coming to the Switch, so it was fun on the DS.
Yeah,
it's fun on the DS. I don't know. It's the same thing, right? $50.
But if it's fun on the DS,
$50.
it's probably if it's not worth $50 probably.
No.
But because what was it? It was probably like $30 on the DS.
It was $40.
It had to be cheaper because DS games are cheaper.
Yeah, that's the thing.
On the Switch, Hasten.
They're making it like just barely better graphics HD, you know, and it's not like it's this high-powered game. It's Mii's, for crying out loud.
Yeah,
you know?
It was literally on a cartridge too. Like they're selling the same thing for more.
Yeah, for more. Yeah.
Yeah. Outer Wilds, I've played it. It's not that great of a game. I don't really understand the hype.
Finally coming to Switch, dude. That game came out what? 2019?
Long time ago, yeah, at least 2019.
November, yeah. That's once again, this is the problem. It's like it's the too little, too late kind of thing. It's like at this point, people have played it. It's been on Game Pass, you know.
There is a sweet spot though, because you can go so late that it's that it's like because like
it's almost like a new game. Yeah.
Like Skyrim, it was like 6 years old by the time it came out on Switch, so people were like,
oh yeah.
You know, but a game that's 3 years old, that it's too soon and too late at the same time. It's like, okay, wait a little longer, and then it's nostalgic, and then people
get it out with the other releases. Yeah.
Exactly.
What the freak is this?
This is where we're getting to that point where this is just all the runs.
The anime.
Samurai Warriors 5, Legend of Mana.
I know there's people that are excited about all this stuff, but this is like the bottom of the barrel from the direct.
Tales of the Borderlands, which is cool because it just got re-released to buy on console and PC because of Telltale going out of business, and so now it's coming to Switch, which is awesome. So.
If you guys haven't downloaded Capcom Arcade Stadium, it's free on Switch right now, and you can get like a couple games free in it, like Ghosts and Goblins, and then they go up to like full price or something. I think on the 25th. So
okay. Do you need Nintendo Switch Online?
Yeah, you need Switch Online, from what I know.
Stubbs the Zombie. Who's that?
That game looks. That was
like it from 2006.
Yeah, and I think it is. I think it's from the early.
It's going to be released for the PS4 and Xbox One and PC. It looks like it was made in 2006.
I think it is. I think it's legit a.
It doesn't look like it says it's a remaster.
It's not a remaster. It's literally just a port. Just a port of an old game.
I don't know.
That's it right there up top.
Oh my god.
2005, yep.
Okay. That looks horrible.
Yeah,
I was going to say, it looked awful.
This is one of those terrible ones that's coming out. Like, what the heck? Like, who was asking for this?
It's kind of the situation where it's like Gauntlet Dark Legacy.
Yeah, true, yeah.
If that came out, we'd be like, oh.
Dude, here's the thing, though. If Gauntlet Dark Legacy actually got a remaster, I think a lot of people would be hyped.
I think so, too.
Because Gauntlet, in general, was a big game.
Like, it's still big.
Well, not to mention,
a lot of people know about it.
Multiplayer, like a lot of people grew up playing that locally. Like, I think it would do really well too.
It'd be better than Stubbs the Zombie,
or Neon White.
This Stubbs the Zombie thing reminds me of like Destroy All Humans. Like it's like that early 2000s game, and people probably have like an affinity for it and grew up playing it. But...
When Hasten was looking at the images, I recognized one of them that used to be on a Nintendo Power from when I was a kid.
Oh,
Nintendo Power.
Maybe
it was like the one with the arm on top of the head and it's ripped off.
I think I remember that too.
Yeah.
No More Heroes. I don't know what that.
That's a big one. Yeah, Travis Touchdown, August. That's the latest like official release date we have for a Nintendo game this year. I think is August. with No More Heroes 3. So that leaves, September, October, November, December for Nintendo to potentially put Breath of the Wild 2 or something along those lines.
Neon White, don't know what that is. Do you know?
No, this is once again
we're really getting deep. Like I didn't realize they had this many announcements.
Oh, there was a ton, dude.
Were they like rapid firing them at one point?
Yeah, like it gets down to just the most random, obscure indie stuff that you wouldn't even recognize.
Bravely Default.
This is why it was 50 minutes.
Yeah, Apex coming to Switch, but no cross progression, so who cares?
And not just that,
seriously though, like
it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough on the Switch.
Yeah, I want to play it. I want to try it out, but it's so dumb that they're
even IGN, which shout out to IGN, we're using their site. They put it at the bottom. The Hades physical.
They're like, this is the worst.
It wasn't even announced.
That is true. Yeah, this you can tell they're doing this in order of some level of importance because.
Oh yeah.
Splatoon 3 is like up at the top, and then Hades the very
go from.
It's like, oh, there's a physical version of Hades coming. Like, okay, we knew about that. I think already.
Seriously, dude.
Yeah, none of these. Bravely Default 2 is a big game. I've heard.
That is big. Yeah. That's and it's
Ghosts and Goblins. But the thing is, the reason they put these at the bottom is these were already announced. Bravely Default 2, Saga Frontier, Ghosts and Goblins, Apex Legends. All these
were just release dates, which there's a lot in 2021, which is good.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They did specify, all the announcements were supposed to be for the first half of 2021, which was not true at all. They lied big time.
There was multiple games that were
which we knew. We knew they were going to lie more than likely, but it gives me hope though that there is still announcements for later this year. For the fall. But I don't know. What would you guys rate this Nintendo Direct?
I'd say like 5 out of 10. Like I said, I think that it was pretty disappointing, but at least there was a Smash character, which even though I didn't like it, there was the Zelda announcements or whatever. Yeah. It's not awful. Like I wasn't like dying. I didn't want to like not watch the rest. Mm-hmm. At least I like stayed to the end, but
yeah, I would do like a 6. I think a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I feel terrible. The worst part is that this was my the Joy-Cons are my favorite part of the whole thing. It's like
a freaking controller.
So like a
I do have to
3 or a 4 out of 10.
Yeah, I do have to agree with you a little bit. I had to knock a point off for the fact that we waited a year and a half.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's ridiculous.
Honestly, I could go down to a 5 as well. I'm going to go 6 only because, like, I love Smash. I love Zelda. So I'm giving it, like, a little bonus points. But ultimately, it's like there wasn't a lot in it that I personally was interested in terms of after waiting a year and a half. So
that you would want to wait for, like that.
Yeah. Splatoon 3, I think, is a great announcement. I'm excited for that, but it's not.
I think they'll have another big one this year
for me.
I bet it'll be Zelda Direct.
Around June. When do you guys think we'll get the next Nintendo Direct if they do one? Like
June,
summer, June. It'll be Zelda though. I don't think it'll be a bigger Direct.
Yeah, I agree with you guys, 100%.
Because they're not going to do nothing for Zelda's 35th. They did the whole thing for Mario.
Nintendo's weird with their anniversaries. They've done this before where it's like they really care about Mario, and then like Zelda's obviously their second biggest IP, but they sometimes just ignore anniversaries. Like Metroid's 30th anniversary, I think, was a few years ago at this point, and they didn't even like mention it or anything.
Metroid's not popular anymore.
It's like whatever. So we'll see. I don't know. I hope they do a big celebration for Zelda because Zelda obviously deserves it, but who knows?
Oh, that was the Direct.
Hello.
Face, gosh.
That was the Direct.
That was the Direct.
It was disappointing.
Yeah, disappointing overall. I am looking forward to what we get from Nintendo later this year, though. Yeah. In the fall, hopefully.
I wanted to touch on these freaking gaming companies that are just doing. Me and Connor talked about this last night, but they hype these things up. Right, Nintendo knew what they were doing once they announced a full Direct, right, the day before.
Absolutely.
And Xbox did this 2 or 3 times last year, where they would hype something up and then they would just have nothing. And the only one that hasn't done that really is Sony. So like, good
I don't
job,
know.
Sony.
They did it with the PlayStation in depth, and it was the guy talking about like the motherboard.
That wasn't the same. That didn't have the same hype though.
But you got to give them credit because like I think that every company struggles with this, and I don't blame them because the last year it's been rough because people are like pissed off because video games are supposed to be, oh, you can be able to do it from home. Come on, give us some content. And so they kind of have to get you hyped about something, even if they don't have it.
That's the thing is like, we do have to remember it's like, obviously it's COVID times. We understand that there's, some difficulties with that. But ultimately, I do agree with Hasten where it's like, I think Sony is the only one that's had a super hype conference for me in the last year. And that was their PS5 like blowout in June or whatever last year. But Nintendo, obviously we haven't heard from them in a year and a half, and then Xbox kind of spaced out all their announcements, so it just seemed like
nothing.
If that was one, if that was all in one presentation, it might have been good.
Yeah.
But it was just also spaced out. It was like, what the heck?
You do have to give Sony credit because I do think they had content in the works available to them. I think the problem with Sony or Microsoft and Nintendo is they haven't had any content. They're both getting to that point where they are going to have the more, like Nintendo's building their IPs. They're going to have Breath of the Wild 2, maybe Mario Odyssey 2, Metroid. And then same with Xbox. They're going to have all the Bethesda games, all Halo Infinite, all these other games coming out. But they have had to kind of make it seem like they have something when they don't. They have like nothing in the works, nothing available.
That's what Sony's done so well though, because like you think about it, this year they're gonna have God of War Ragnarok.
Theoretically, we'll see.
Theoretically, yeah, and then 2022, I'm sure they have something.
Well, and Horizon Zero Dawn too.
Horizon
Forbidden West or whatever.
Yeah,
Ratchet and Clank this year as well. Like they got 3 big IPs coming out this year alone.
Yeah, and they haven't even announced anything for next year, so imagine they've got some stuff.
We haven't even gotten to E3 this year. So
that's what I have to give credit to PlayStation with over the last like 3 or 4 years at least, is that they've had big games every year. Every year. They've been consistent, whereas Nintendo, like I love Nintendo, but me and Tanner were talking about it yesterday. Like their last really big one was Luigi's Mansion 3, which was
Animal Crossing this year.
Oh, true. Okay, yeah, that is fair. I forgot about Animal Crossing. It's just not my cup of tea. But
yeah, I get what you mean.
It is huge.
As far as announcements, though, Animal Crossing was announced 3-4 years ago, right?
Yeah.
It was announced forever. It got delayed multiple times. They haven't had a big announcement since Animal Crossing.
And that's the thing is like, hopefully my thought is Nintendo's trying to play their cards close to their chest and they're waiting until they know the game's ready to announce it. Like, because for all we know, Mario Kart 9, Mario Odyssey 2, all these games are real and they're just going to announce them. And when they do, it's going to be, hey, it comes out in 5 months versus, because I think they're maybe learning their lesson from like with Prime 4, which has been 4 or 5 years now, Breath of the Wild 2, which has been 2 years now. It's like, maybe they're trying to take a step back and be like, okay, let's not announce these things.
Maybe that's why they haven't talked about Metroid or Breath of the Wild for a long time. Maybe the reason they're talking about Breath of the Wild again is because it is coming out later this year or next year. So they're thinking, okay, we got.
I hope so, dude.
Oh, dude, if Breath of the Wild 2 was this year, oh my gosh, I would literally.
If it comes out this year, it'll be guaranteed Game of the Year. Like, what else is there this year?
God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Well, that's not happening. There's no way.
I would bet.
Not with that attitude, it's not happening.
I bet money it's not coming out. I'm sorry, but Halo Infinite's not going to win Game of the Year.
No.
Halo never has gotten to that point where it's Game of the Year worthy.
I'm really curious to see what Breath of the Wild 2 looks like.
I think there's a lot of games that haven't been announced yet.
Hopefully.
This year. Like, I think there's going to be a lot of games that are 5. I don't know. I really don't know. But I'm hoping that there's some games that are, like, coming out in December. Or
according to Lucasfilms, they have a lot of Star Wars games in the works. We got, like, open world RPG ones.
But those are years. Yeah. We're talking, like, I bet you that's...
Could get announcements.
Oh, you know what? We could have Starfield this year. I wouldn't be surprised
if we
see Starfield this year.
I think if we're speaking realistically, in my opinion, I think Starfield next year, and I think Elder Scrolls 2025. I think
2025.
Yeah.
All right.
It's done.
I just think that with Xbox now being in charge, being the daddy, they're gonna push Bethesda a little harder. I hope it doesn't hurt it at all, but I do think they'll be like, hey, Starfield and Bethesda, or Starfield and Elder Scrolls and Fallout are your big IPs. Work on those. Like, that needs to happen sooner than later. Because it's been a while. I mean, what was the last big one we got? It was Fallout 4, right? Like 2000.
Fallout 76.
That's been off. Yeah. Because I wouldn't count Elder Scrolls.
I mean, like they've had like Rage 2.
Out of their big IPs, though, their 3 big IPs are Elder
Rage.
Scrolls. I mean, I can't count Starfield, but Elder Scrolls and Fallout are their 2 big.
Oh, Doom. They had Doom.
Doom. That's true. Doom Eternal's their latest, so still 2 years ago.
Which is a really good game if you guys haven't played it yet.
Doom Eternal was only last year, to be fair.
Yeah.
It was March.
Wasn't it 2019?
2020.
It got delayed into 2020.
Yeah,
Animal
it
Crossing
was
and Doom.
2019.
Animal Crossing and Doom were like the 2020 games. Well, and Last of Us.
because they came out on the same day. Yeah.
They were supposed to come out 2019. I don't count. Those are stupid.
You're right. Both of those were delayed. They were both originally 2019 games. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting year for games because I have this feeling that we're seeing the effects of COVID from companies where it's like, last year while it affected them, they were still able to they were close enough to finish their games.
Oh, yeah.
They could finish them. But now we're seeing the effects of, hey, all of our games that we were working on and that were in the middle of production got messed up so badly
Halted for a whole year.
Yeah, that we had to wait a whole nother year for those to come out now.
I am surprised.
2022 is when all these games come out.
I am actually surprised that some companies haven't been able to learn from others because I feel like there's a lot of companies that have been killing it with the working from home. Like there's some companies that have kept it up, like Bungie. They've released a whole expansion that was built in quarantine. Fortnite, all these games, the first service games that are being able to update their games consistently. But then there's games that they can't work on anything. They're like, oh, don't expect much. It's like, you can at least do something though, especially if you're a game that's expecting.
That's what surprises me because you're working from home. Like how different
can it be?
How different can that be? You're a coder. Like you write code.
You literally
right? until you get down to the people that have to, literally do the animations.
Super heavy
voice audio. That
they
kind
need
of stuff.
Thread rippers. Yeah.
But most of gaming is honestly coding, right? Like it's that tedious coding that you have to get done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult. I think there's certain positions that it's like nothing's changed. But then there's other positions where it's like we literally can't do this with COVID is the thing. Like for example, with Last of Us and stuff like mocap, when they're recording those cutscenes and stuff like that. Like that's something that up until probably recently they couldn't really do, because movie productions completely shut down for 6 months last year. And then they've only recently started to pick back up and people are filming again, under a lot of precautions and whatnot.
Right.
So, I don't know. I think it depends on the game ultimately.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I just hope that other companies that haven't had much, I think it's time to get started. Because the thing is we've kind of realized that COVID's going to kind of be there. So you got to start back up, in some ways. I think that there's so much waiting you can do.
I think things are going to get a lot better here in the next 6 months. I think
it'll be pretty quick too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
let's hope. Fingers crossed.
Going again.
I wanted to mention something real quick that I said in one of our old podcasts. I called Cyberpunk. I knew it would flop. I said in an old podcast, I was like, "Oh, it's gonna flop. There's too much hype. They're not ready." And you guys were like, "There's no way. It's been in development."
It was shocking. No one saw it coming.
No,
I did.
No, but here's the thing.
You didn't really, though.
Yeah.
I will show you.
No, Tanner, I do remember this.
I called it.
I do remember you saying that, but what you said though, the reason why Cyberpunk flopped is because the current generation versions are broken.
Right.
It's not that people don't like the game. The game itself, people like.
It was a great game. It was my second favorite game last year.
I said in the podcast, I said that it would sell well and that it would be a good game, but that it would flop in some way. That's all I said in the podcast. And you guys were like, "There's no way it's gonna be the equivalent of Witcher."
But here's what I will say:
untouchable.
we don't know. I don't know if the game technically flopped in terms of sales. I don't think the data is.
No, it did really well.
I never said that it did though. That in the original podcast, I specifically said it wouldn't flop. I knew that it would.
You said what you said was that it was going to review badly. That it could review badly.
And it did.
Well, the current generation versions, yeah.
Almost every review was bad because of. And the thing is even other reviews, they've mentioned the new gen and PC builds. They still had a lot of issues. There were still a lot of issues.
But the thing is the game reviewed horribly because of how broken it was. But I think the game itself, like if you can play it properly, it sounds like people loved it.
Oh yeah, it was a great game. I beat it, and like it really was. Like it had it had such a great story to it, and like the world, like if the game didn't have so many bugs, when you get into the world, it's the most, what's the word for it? Like it sucks you in. Like it's
immersive.
It's the most immersive world I've ever been in any game. It's insane. So if this game gets patched in the next few months and you guys get a chance to play it, like Tanner, you specifically, because I know how much you love RPGs, it's incredible. It's gonna be incredible once they fix it.
Truth is, I plan to get it and play it, but I can't buy it at $60, knowing that it is broken in ways. I don't know. Like,
wait till Black Friday; it'll be $20.
Well, and it sounds like from what CD Projekt Red said recently is that they're planning to release over the time updates that will fix the game.
Yeah, they said by they have a roadmap, and by March, well, like late April or May.
Yeah.
It should be like fixed, and then they actually have DLC announced for it already, which is crazy. They're having DLC come out before the next gen versions even come out.
It's something that I think I will even play at some point, because it sounds like you can beat the main story like in 20 hours or something. Like you can just do mainline story and enjoy it that way. Like you don't have to play it like a Skyrim style RPG.
Yeah, you definitely could. It's so cool, you guys. Like seriously, like I didn't think I was gonna like the cyberpunk world, but it's super cool.
It looks like my background.
It's funny that we're talking about cyberpunk stuff when it's like been months since that's been
came out in November.
It's still like one of the biggest gaming stories though. Like no one saw that thing flopping. It's crazy.
Yeah, that is nuts.
Except for me.
Well, I think that wraps it up for this episode, unless you guys have anything else to say.
No, yeah. I'm good.
I think that's it.
Well, thank you guys for joining us on our first all digital episode, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.